Hello, I'm Violin GM. Recently I was asked what to look for when you're looking to purchase a violin. How do you know if this violin is right for you or not? I found that in many ways looking for a violin is a little bit like looking for a spouse. You have certain qualities that you really love that you want to see manifested in the instrument that you play. And certainly some people are going to love other qualities, and then another person is going to come along and love totally different qualities. That's the way it goes. So there is an element of subjectivity to looking for a great violin. However, there are some aspects that I think are more objective that I can talk a little bit about. The first is that you want the violin to be responsive. You want to be able to draw the bow across the string and have the violin react pretty immediately to what you do. If you move further away from the bridge, you want the sound to get softer. If you move closer to the bridge, you want the sound to get louder. You want it to be sensitive to bow pressure, to bow weight, and to bow speed. You don't want a violin where you have to work a lot or work in an excessive manner, because that will just take a lot of extra time and cause you frustration down the road. Moreover, I think actually it's very important that you like the sound that the violin makes under the ear. Ideally, the violin should inspire you and should make you want to play more. So you have to have a basic liking for the sound that's under your ear. However, you should always try the violin in a hall before deciding to buy it. Sometimes what you hear under the ear is very different from what you hear or from what the audience is going to hear when you perform on the violin in a hall. Some violins sound very quiet under the ear, but when you get to a hall, they sound like cannons. They can sound enormous. And sometimes the opposite is true. Sometimes the violin will sound very loud under the ear, but will sound like a mouse in the hall. Those are just elements of acoustics that you just have to try to experience. You have to try them and experience them. Also, you want to consider your own size. Recently, I had a student who was very small looking for a violin, or very physically small, I mean, and we decided to find a violin that was 7/8 size for her because it allowed her to reach the end of the fingerboard. With a standard full-size violin, she was never able to reach the uppermost part of the fingerboard. She always had to move her thumb around like this. And so this smaller violin enabled her to feel comfortable on all parts of the violin. Likewise, if you're a bigger person, you probably want a slightly bigger violin. And when it comes to size, millimeters can matter an enormous amount. A violin that's 352 millimeters can feel totally different and much smaller than a violin that's 354 millimeters. So just be sensitive to that. Standard full-size violins tend to fluctuate between 352 and 358, let's say. So there needs to be a certain amount of physical comfort with the violin, I believe.